I'm Tracy Rothery, and I'm a business development manager, and I work in IT solutions. It was actually through a friend of mine that does hula hooping. And yeah, she was just talking about a place where women can learn coding. And I didn't know that that was a thing that you could do, that there was a space just for women to learn coding. I tried it myself alone, and I was really excited that there was a place where, you could all do it together. In high school, actually, my favorite subject was physics and things like maths. And when I went to the university open day, the lecturer was really interesting. And then afterwards you go down, you speak to them. And one of the first things he said to me was that I shouldn't study physics because someone with my personality would, do terribly in a lab and, basically crushed all of my hopes and dreams. And I didn't study physics. I enrolled in a law arts degree instead, just from this one man's opinion, one person saying that to me. But I've always loved technical things. And it was actually just later in life, I've been working in and around IT as a business development manager. And I just one day was like, I want to be on the other side of the fence and I want to be doing those technical things. And yeah, it took a long time, I guess, to have that confidence in myself and realize that I can belong in that space too, even if I am a really loud, talkative person, that there is room, in places like that for me. But it is like organizations like Women in Technology and She Codes, and seeing other women that are like me, that are quirky and loud and weird, that were developers. And I was like, oh, there are people like me in those places. I can do that. And I think that's why I took the step towards She Codes. And the more I did She Codes, the more comfortable I felt in the space. And now I really just want to be, on the other side of the fence, really. We have just started doing our group assignments, and the whole course you're basically building websites and coding, individually. And I hadn't done anything with anyone else. And I was really nervous because all the girls are so smart, and I was worried that I would be that person in the team that wasn't bringing as much, or, because it's intimidating because everybody who does the course is just amazing. But it hasn't been like that at all, and everyone's been really supportive. And something that I guess lean towards more is the technical side, not really the visual side. And one of the other girls had built this beautiful wireframe. So she had created this what the website would look like if it was real, and then given me the task to go and build that. And, I had on my computer what it should look like, and then I was building it, and then it was sort of when you're sitting in front of the TV doing a puzzle or something, and it was just the most fun thing in the whole world, watching it come together and not having to be the one to create the design. And she'd done such a good job. It was just amazing. For me, it was the Python project. I thought that Python was going to be, I had friends that had done this program previously, and I had heard horror stories about the Python project, that it was something that, it was pretty much the hardest thing that they had ever done. So I was sort of already nervous before going into it. And I also didn't think I would enjoy Python because, I had no concept of it. It sounded kind of boring, actually. And it ended up being probably one of my favorite units. And the cool thing was I actually was helping other people and understanding things more than I thought that I would have the ability to. I think I had underestimated myself. So I really loved that project. I had been working in Germany for 4 or 5 years in startups and a software company. And so I had worked in tech environments. I would say my last company probably had about 80 to 90% of the people were developers, deep learning, computer vision developers, and 80 to 90% of them were all men. So what did the industry look like? You can, just the typical, exactly what you picture. So I guess this is definitely, for me, the first time I've ever seen so many women that are into coding. And outside of coding too, it's nice because you connect and you share other interests in a way that's really different to the other spaces that I was in before. Yeah, so I, did the typical thing where you go to uni in Perth and you think Perth is, I thought it was boring and I couldn't wait to leave. So I went and lived in Melbourne, and I actually worked in like investment in the head office of ANZ doing financial planning. Very different to the coding world. And then my partner got a job in Germany. So I just went to Germany with no job and ended up at a startup, an IT startup, because I couldn't obviously do, financial planning, give people superannuation advice in Germany. They weren't so interested in that. So here I was in a startup getting paid like 20 euros an hour, like the absolute minimum job that they had in the company. And then I just worked my way up. After 3 months, I got like a small promotion, and then I was running like a little sales team. And then I got like another little promotion after 6 months, and I was doing all their hiring, like their talent acquisition. And it was like an IT company. So I got to learn all about like agile and how, developers work together. And it was really interesting seeing that whole world. And then I got a really good job in Germany, and I got to work in an even more technical company. So it was like computer vision, deep learning, augmented reality. And that company was pretty much all developers, which was amazing for me because it's sort of like my people. I'm a massive nerd. Me and developers tend to sort of get along. And I'm a really technically minded person. So that was really, really amazing for me. And then, we just missed Perth, which was not what I expected, because when I left, I was like, Perth is boring. And I think the longer I was away, the more I valued Perth. I actually think Perth's amazing, and I couldn't wait to come back. And now that I'm here, I can't imagine living anywhere else. And then I sort of accidentally had a bit of a surprise. A few months ago, I'd started this coding course, wanting to change my career and move away from sales and move into being a developer, and then ended up pregnant. But it hasn't changed my plans. I still want to be a developer. I think you can still be a mum and be a developer. And if anything, actually, you can have a flexible job. You can, consult or work from home. And I think actually it'll be nice that my kid can see me, that I changed my career at 31 years old completely, that, if they do want to change their career later in life, they can too. So lots of things are happening right now. I think that out of all the industries with technology, there is probably some of the most opportunities going on at the moment. I do think it is also one of the areas where it's a lot of change needs to happen. I mean, I know from working in the industry that when I walk into a room, I'm pretty much the only person that sounds like me. So I think things like SheCodes are really important, because without these sort of, avenues and ways into the industry, that won't change. So that's what I'm excited about changing in tech, is walking into a room and seeing lots of different people, and not just different versions of the same one. First of all, do it. What's the worst that can happen? And also that there's a lot more jobs out there than you realize. I think doing SheCodes has made me realize, you can go and be a full stack developer. You could actually go into security, or you could actually become a business analyst. This is the sort of place where you can learn a lot of skills to take you into jobs that you might not have even heard of. In 2 weeks, I'm about to have a baby, so I'm imagining that's going to keep me very busy, I would say, for a few months. But then I want to get back out there, I've already been applying actually for some jobs, that are starting, in 4, 5, 6 months. But it's really just because you have a kid doesn't mean your life has to change. It doesn't mean all of my plans have to be any different. I mean, when men have kids, they go on maternity leave for, however long, and then they go back to work, don't they? So I can do the exact same thing if I want. A lot of people out there, myself included, have had thoughts where, I'm not smart enough to do this, or I'm not a techie person, it would be way too hard, I don't have the time. I've had all of these thoughts. But the thing is, it's like anything. You just start small, you take that first step, you go to that first, one-day SheCodes class. That's what I did. And then, after that one day, I was like, wow, I built a game where turtles could eat things. I never, ever expected I could do that. Then you go to the next class, maybe it's the 1 week She Codes Flash, thing, which is what I did. And that week built up my confidence. And, afterwards I was doing things by myself and actually trying to code by myself, which I had been too scared to even try because there's so much content out there. I wouldn't even know where to start. And then you can just go from there. So I would say, just take that first step, that first thing, and just give it a go.